Um, Thank you so much for coming here. Let me start by greeting all the partners, all the guests, the speakers, but our esteemed guests, the boys who are here today. I really want to thank the Moleboheng Matli Foundation for this visionary undertaking, for this initiative, and a very audacious theme. I had to read that twice actually. The more our boys are ignored, the less our girls are safe. And it is really very spot on in many respects. So I really want to acknowledge your presence here, and I hope you're being here today, being part of this as the program director said. It's not just a coincidence, it's not random. Something must happen, and really ask yourself that question. Why do you think out of all the boys in your school, you are just specifically the one that was chosen? But the same applies to the speakers also in terms of why we are here and what do we think our value add and contribution will be. For us, when the request came to host this, and to be honest, we were not going to do anything to mark this day as Freedom Park. So immediately I shared with the team, especially Advocate Tabiso Make, the acting education manager. Interestingly, within 3 minutes of me forwarding the request, he responded. Definitely CEO, we must do this. In fact, it will revive our. We used to have a program called Boys Leading Change, which since we came back after COVID, we didn't continue. So it was like, no, this really speaks to what we were doing, what our concept. They can't afford to let you go to school because you must provide, you must take the leadership. Colin was talking about issues of violence and gangsterism as well. Mental issues that we seem to ignore, especially when we look at the boys. So it is important that we as a society must recognize that these challenges must be dealt with, especially when we focus on the boys as well, and we need to address them. We need to acknowledge them and acknowledge that boys too have emotions and need emotional support.
Yep.
Therefore, we must create those safe spaces for the boys where they feel comfortable to express their feelings, their fears, and their frustrations without fearing to be labeled that you are weak, you must man up, because sometimes we do that. Why are you crying? Man up. Boys don't cry. We must also challenge certain stereotypes that restrict boys from exploring their full potential. We know that we grow in environments where certain professions are not for boys and all for girls. So if you are a boy, you want to take a certain profession, people will laugh at you, but that's a women's profession. When we do that, we are restricting you from choosing what you love. Because even as you choose a career, you must be passionate about it. It's not about a job. It's about what you can contribute and the value add. And when you choose a career, sometimes you will have to live with it for the rest of your lives. Yes, these days we're talking about multidisciplinarity and varied ways of expertise. But normally we choose careers that we love, we are passionate, and that aligns with the dream and the vision that you have of yourself. We must also acknowledge that boys are not immune to sexual violence and abuse, a topic that is usually a taboo in many respects.